It's 9 a.m. on a Thursday morning. That is when we have fun each and every week. This is Our Town on 94.9 and 99.1 The River. My name is Darren Swenson. Our Town, as always, brought to you by Decorah Bank and Trust. Going to have a 5-guest program, a couple of interviews that we originally aired a couple weeks ago, but these are important issues. A couple of area school districts have facility referendums coming up next Tuesday. We will talk to Rachel Udstuen from the Spring Grove Community School District and Kris Einck from the Howard-Winneshiek School District. Multifaceted facility approach in Spring Grove and a Pebble vote coming up in the Howard-Winneshiek School District. Also, open enrollment is now open on the health insurance exchange for 2024. Brian Huinker with Group Benefit Partners in Decorah going to tell us all about that. And a couple of cool events coming up this weekend. The Winneshiek County Celebration of Life does great work in helping uninsured and underinsured women get mammograms. Also provides resources and gas cards to those that need treatment. And they're going to celebrate their 25th anniversary Friday afternoon at Impact Coffee in Decorah. Muggs Walter will be joining us on the show, but we're going to kick off the show with Molly Holkesvik. She is with the new Minowa Players. They are celebrating their 200th show cabaret all weekend long, and Molly will be our first guest this morning. She will be batting leadoff on this 5-guest program of Our Town. It's brought to you by Decorah Bank and Trust, and you're listening to it on 94.9 and 99.1 The River. Coming up this weekend is Ye Olde Cabaret, the 200th performance of the new Minowa Players. And here to discuss the events coming up this weekend is Molly Holkesvik. And Molly, beginning tonight, all the fun begins. Tell us everything that will go on this weekend.
Well, we're super excited about having lots of people in the audience to be able to celebrate this 200th show for NMP. People have come from lots of different places even to be a part of this. And while they're not all on stage, we have some videos of people talking who have been involved in NMP over the years. And we've also had some, art done. And it's just going to be a super big celebration and just remembering what NMP has done for people over, the 200 shows. There's so many different kinds of shows, what NMP has added over the years as far as shows go, and why NMP can reach out to so many people, because there are lots of different types of shows, and meaning musicals, straight plays. We've got the children's show. We've got the young people production. So we include people from all different age ranges in a lot of different kinds of theater. And that's what makes it so exciting.
And we know it's the 200th performance this weekend. How many years has New Minowa Players been around?
NMP has been around since 1975.
Wow, that's 60 years of performances. And I'd imagine, as you mentioned, all different types of performances, all different types of people that have been involved over the years. And in your mind, being involved yourself, what keeps the new Minowa Players going?
The fact that it takes a community to keep it going is what keeps it going. People love to come in and, hey, can you help with the set? Can you help with costumes? Can you direct a show? Do you want to just try it once and see how it goes? We have different types of shows also. We've had some shows where people have had scripts in their hands, so like a choral reading readers theater kind. So we can bring people in who might be a little nervous about speaking in front of people, but if they've got the words in front of them, they feel a lot better about participating. People can sing, or maybe they are really good at music and they can be the music director. We have NMP members and we have the audience, which is super important to NMP. We can't have shows if we don't have the audience. So everybody is celebrated this weekend with the 200th show in some way or another.
And that's the thing with any production like this. Obviously, we notice the main characters of any production on stage and everything like that. But just the behind the scenes people, the people to market it, the people to sell the tickets, everything like that. As you said, it really takes a village to put these events on. And the fact that people are still willing to do this almost 60 years later says a lot about the organization.
It definitely does. It's going strong. There are a lot of members. There are a lot of people who still talk about, 20 years ago, that kind of thing. There are people who are just getting involved for the first time and are hooked. And that's super exciting for NMP.
And it's really something for all ages, too, getting people involved as well, correct?
Absolutely. The young people production and the YPP. Let me say that again. The children's show and the YPP hit, really young children all the way up through college age. And then there are lots of different performances that will bring in people of all ages as well. For example, the 200th Cabaret has, young children all the way up through one of the founding members of NMP, Donnelly Burns.
Very neat thing going on this weekend. When will the performances be taking place?
The performances are Thursday, Friday, Saturday at 7:00 and Sunday at 2:00.
And where?
At the NMP building in Decorah.
And of course, you've got the building. I know over the years you've used all different sorts of facilities, and really the community has supported this organization with just providing you a place to perform as well over the years. And that says a lot about Decorah's support of the arts too, correct?
Absolutely. NMP started out not having a building at all, which is going to be in this 200th show, just discussion about how NMP has become what it is today. So we start at the beginning and move on. And right at the beginning, people were doing shows in restaurants and in barns and that kind of thing. So NMP has really taken flight over the years in lots of different ways.
Anything we're missing? Anything else you want to pass on about the cabaret and the 200th performance this weekend?
I hope everybody in the surrounding area comes to celebrate the 200th Cabaret, comes to celebrate NMP and everything it's meant to people over the years.
And how can people get in? How can people purchase tickets?
They can go online to the NMP website, or they can go down to the co-op and pick up a ticket there.
All right, Molly, we appreciate you taking some time this weekend to really talk about an historic event when it comes to the connection between Decorah and the community arts with the new Minowa Players Cabaret taking place this weekend. Thanks for taking the time, and enjoy being a part of things, really being a part of history this weekend.
You bet. Thank you.
Molly Holkesvik joining us, the new Minowa Players Cabaret taking place tonight, Friday night and Saturday night and Sunday afternoon. More information at the New Minowa Players website. Coming up tomorrow afternoon, the Winneshiek County Celebration of Life will have an event at Impact Coffee. And here to talk about that event is Maragret Walters. She is with the Winneshiek County Celebration of Life. And before we get into the specifics of tomorrow evening's event, Maragret, tell us about the Winneshiek County Celebration of Life. What is your mission?
Well, our mission, of course, is to, we make an effort to raise money for cancer awareness and prevention. We get sponsorships from the area. We're all sponsored local. Our programs, not only do we do a lot of awareness programs, but we have 2 programs that are funded by donations. Our first one is that we do mammogram screenings for non-insured and underinsured women. The next program we do is fuel and food cards for those individuals that are in active treatment of cancer. Now, to get the mammograms, you need to be non-insured or underinsured. To apply for fuel and food cards, you need to be a resident of Winneshiek County or your primary care person is in Winneshiek County. Applications are online and they could not be any easier. There's only a handful of questions. And we have helped literally thousands of people. In fact, in our first 10 years, I just found an article where we had already helped 650 people.
How long has your organization been a thing?
Well, we've been our own non-for-profit for 25 years, which is totally amazing when you think we're funded locally. But before that, we worked several years under the umbrella with Winneshiek Hospital and Winneshiek doctors. And so we were able to put on awareness programs, help people sign up for mammograms. We just did all sorts of programs before that, but it got to be a lot. The need got to be more and more. So in 98, we called together Steve Belay and Hacker and Nelson, Winneshiek Medical Center and Gunderson, and there was a large group of us. We just put together nonprofit, and we received our status, and we've been going strong ever since. And
I'd imagine, especially with the mammogram screening end of things, like with a lot of cancers, early detection being such a key, and the earlier cancer gets detected, the better chance of surviving the cancer would be. Can you really even quantify how many situations have been better through the work of your organization? It has to be a pretty high number in this 25-year circle, I'd imagine.
It has been a very high number. And we know for a fact that our mammograms and also our awareness about other cancers have actually saved lives. Numerous times we've heard back from people where they've used our mammogram program and they have found cancer. And of course, now the mammograms and all the testing is so far advanced. Gunderson and WinMed just do an amazing job with people. We're very grateful and very lucky that we have both of these groups in our town.
We are blessed, and it's probably something we don't talk about enough as a community, not only with this issue, but with all other healthcare issues. And you bring up an excellent point on that end of things. Tomorrow night, you got an event coming up at Impact Coffee. Tell us about it.
Well, we decided to celebrate because 25 years is amazing. And the celebration needs to include all of the community because we'd be nowhere if it wasn't for the community supporting us. So from 4 to 9, we're going to have music. We'll be selling raffle tickets. The tickets start at $10 and the raffle winner will receive $1,000. But throughout the night, we just want people to come in and kind of thank themselves for supporting us all these years. And we will at 6 o'clock, between 6:30, we're also going to have all past board members there because it's been a very active and hardworking board for 25 years. And we will be doing at 6:30 a group picture of all present and past board members in order for the community to say an extra thank you to them too.
And where can folks pick up those raffle tickets?
Well, up until Friday about 1 o'clock, you can get them at Modish or Maragret's in downtown. Danielle Bakewell has them in Gunderson. And then past that, got to come to the event. We plan to sell a lot of tickets at the event. You know, when we start at 4, you can come after work, you can come later. You know, we're having great music. The Luther College Driftless Jazz Band will be performing from 7 to 9. And then we have this little gal, Abby, who's going to be playing from the 4 to 6 shift. And she's got a beautiful voice. And so you got to come see us at 4 o'clock. Get your ticket and come enjoy it.
And, of course, prior to 1 o'clock, you can pick it up right at the KVIK studios as well. And we're happy to be... Yeah, we're definitely happy to be a part of this. And you're a part of a pretty hardworking board to do all the great things that you do. Who else is on that board that does this community so many good things?
Well, we have Stephanie Shinnick. We have Deb Teacup, Angela Hansen, Janelle Halverson is on there, Julie Wurzel, Peggy Lensing, Maureen Yar. So it's quite a hard-working group, and we're so grateful for you guys. And, of course, Janelle's now on the board, and we have worked her to death since she came on.
Well, and that's the way Janelle operates. She doesn't go to anything with not fully fledged or not with both feet in. And tomorrow night's event, from what I understand, you got a pretty good sponsor list for tomorrow night's events as well. Tell us about those community businesses helping you out. And you got a website, Winneshiekcol.com, with all sorts of the information that folks can figure out about what you guys do, your mission, and the events that you guys have. Regarding the event coming up tomorrow night, or anything regarding the Winneshiek County Celebration of Life, is there anything we're missing? Anything else you want to pass along as you got the forum?
No. And thank you for help with the sponsors, but it's just a celebration. There's no charge at the door. Please come enjoy yourself. Impact Coffee is doing a special drink menu, and they are giving us proceeds from the bar. We're going to be lit up with fun decorations and music, and it's kind of a time for everybody to come pat themselves on the back for doing this. This is an absolute caring mission that we have been on for 25 years. We could not do it if we did not live in this amazing community.
And I'm going to pat you on the back. I believe you've been involved the entire time, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
That's correct. I had Maragret's Boutique, forever. And we started this as a mission with my staff and myself in October. We were just hearing so many stories about breast cancer, and we just felt, and I had some good friends at Winneshiek Medical Center, and I was hearing these stories about people not getting in time for their mammograms because of insurance and things like that. And we'd always done awareness programs out of the store, but we had to take it a step further. My staff, my husband and I, we just thought we would start this. We had no idea when we did this that we would make this much of an impact. And again, please, it goes back to this community. Wonderful, wonderful people. And I hate to use the word easy, but people donate to us, and because they know we do such good things. We're so proud of ourselves, and we're so proud of this community.
And that's a great way to put it. We appreciate you and everyone in the community that helps out with the Winneshiek County Celebration of Life, WinneshiekCol.com on the internet. And the event coming up at Impact Coffee to celebrate 25 years, 4 until 9 tomorrow night. Margaret, thanks for taking the time this morning. Best of luck with the event tomorrow night. And most importantly, thanks to you and everything that your organization does to make Decorah a better place.
Well, thank you. And thanks for the interview. I'm not the best at doing this, but we so appreciate KVIK for all you do for the area. You've given us so much publicity, and thanks to Janelle for helping so much.
Margaret Walter, tomorrow night, Winneshiek County Celebration of Life, 25th anniversary party, 4 until 9 at Impact Coffee. Well, the health insurance exchange for 2024 is underway, and when we have questions, this guy has answers. He is Brian Huinker with Group Benefit Partners in Decorah. And Brian, the health insurance exchange got underway earlier this week. Anything new that folks need to know?
Yeah, there's a couple big ones, Wentz. One of them being there's two carriers still in the Northeast Iowa market, Wellmark and Medica. So that's been pretty stable the last 8 years, I would guess. The Wellmark rates actually went down. Medica rates went up some, but the price spread, the way that the tax credits are calculated, had a dramatic effect on the Medica policies. So we're talking oftentimes anytime somewhere between $200 and $600 a month increases for some of our Medica folks. So they're going to want to, I would think, shop their options. There's some pretty significant changes between Medica and Wellmark in terms of network. So we got a little bit of a concern there.
When it comes to how the tax credits are calculated, how does that process go? Can you explain that in a simple way? in a short way for this radio interview?
I'll try. I was hoping you weren't going to ask that, but we'll go for it. It is calculated off the second cheapest silver plan in your market. So common sense would tell you that well-marked rates went down. That's a good thing. Well, not necessarily, because when they went down, the second cheapest silver price went down as well. And so the tax credit subsidy amount is a little bit lower. Now, overall, we're not seeing that affecting the well-marked policies significantly. But when Medicas went up and well-marks went down and the tax credit went down, that's where the Medica spike is.
When it comes to the coverage and the availability of healthcare between Wellmark and Medicare, or Medica, I should say, where can Medica folks go? Where can Wellmark folks go here in Northeast Iowa?
Yep, both programs have every hospital in the state of Iowa, so that's a positive. A lot of our people that have Medica, the reason they've chosen that, because it has been significantly more expensive the last couple of years, is that it had Gunderson lacrosse in network. And so those folks maybe with more advanced conditions, chronic conditions, they've doctored with Gunderson forever. They were willing to pay a little bit more to have that access. Now, this year, it appears, a couple days in, that we're going to have people having to make some tough decisions on, am I going to pay $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 more a year for technically a plan that's worse in terms of coverage to be able to go to lacrosse.
And how long do people have to review this information and make a final decision before the 2024 plan takes effect?
Well, 45 days, November 1st to December 15th. So they put you under the gun a little. You can change plans every year at this time. So it's a little intense in terms of the short window. A lot of misleading information that the insurance companies are forced to send out to the employee or to the consumer. Everybody received a letter that showed a new rate with the old tax credit. I just can't for the life of me figure out why our government mandates these carriers send these letters out that are inaccurate. It just baffles me. I guess it does support the postal service. They're getting paid for the delivery, but that's the only positive I see. So it's a tight window. The other thing, Darren, that we're concerned about is there's some automatic mapping. We've got a lot of folks that they've chosen a bronze plan that is saving them a couple $100s a month. That's very similar to a silver plan. And depending on what plan you have, the government in their infinite wisdom may automatically map you from that bronze to the silver if you don't go through your enrollment actively. So our fear for our people, or for the people that sign up on their own, if you auto renew like the good old days, you could very likely switch plans to in our estimation, a worse plan that costs quite a bit more.
When you use the term map, define that for us.
The government thinks that they're doing the consumer a favor. This gets complicated too. It's crazy that in many of the cases, the bronze plan is better coverage than the silver. The insurance companies kind of fluff up the cost of the silver plan because they get more subsidy tax credit for that plan. So they're just taking a plan and essentially automatically re-enrolling some of our bronze people to a plan that we would say is worse, and it's going to cost a lot more. It's ridiculous.
And when it comes to this information that the government forces insurance companies to send out to the consumer, is this one of those things where the government says they're being transparent, but they're not?
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, somewhere along the lines. I mean, I don't know if you remember, if you like your doctor, you can keep it. Yeah, how's that one? I mean, the similar stuff. It's such a bureaucratic disaster that they can't get out of their own way. But thankfully, they still let agents like us and our, even our competitors be involved. We can definitely help. Our biggest fear is a lot of people do try to do it on their own. Maybe they've had some success in the past. It's all good until it's not. Costs the same whether you use a licensed local professional or you do it on your own. We would recommend that you use somebody local because there's some ins and outs. And when, every year we get dozens of people that come sheepishly like, can you help? And it's, well, you chose not to go with us. Now we need to spend hours and hours and hours helping you. We say, no, we can't help you. No, I'm just kidding. We still help, but it is nice to go local. It truly saves time in the end for the consumer and for us, because it's a lot easier to do it right the first time versus trying to scramble your way out of it in May when you kind of figure it out and are trying to make a change and it's nearly impossible.
Well, based on all the information you've given us, based on the changes, based on what bureaucracy perhaps makes you think you're doing that you're not, to me, that's proof that you got to get a hold of folks like you or anybody else in the industry to help them out. How do folks get a hold of you and your colleagues at your company if they need a hand with all this craziness?
You bet. It's 563-382-2981. I mean, Nikki and Peggy are the experts. I'm just the radio guy, but I help when it's really busy too. But we're happy to help review. If you did it on your own last year, we can review it. It's just it gets to be a big deal. And I know people in general want to bury your head. It's complicated. It's not fun, but this is what we do. And more importantly, when something does go wrong or a claim's not processed right throughout the year, that's where we can help you speed up the process versus the 800 number.
And I'd imagine I'm the worst procrastinator in the world. Fortunately, I'm on my wife's health insurance now, but normally I would worry about this stuff about December 10th and make you mad when I came in and talked to you back in the good old days. Part of the reason we're having this conversation right now is you guys are available to do this right now, correct?
We can. Yep. We are ready to roll. We work some odd hours, evening and Saturdays too, for those that are at work, can't make an appointment. We can do it over the phone. It's a well-oiled machine now, but it is tough to get through 1,200 people in 45 days. So I've just looked at the calendars. They're filling up, but we'll always find a way to get you in. But 382-2981 is the number.
And December 15th is the deadline. What aren't you allowed to do beginning December 16th?
Technically, without a qualifying event, you are locked in to that plan for the full year of 2024. If you got divorced, married, had a child, there's some things that way that you can still get coverage, but by and large, it's over.
Anything else?
So you're unavailable December 16th.
Well, you guys will be busy between now and then. Anything we're missing? Anything else we need to know?
Not that I can think of, but things always come up, and maybe we'll get together one more time here before the end.
All right, Brian, always good catching up with you and getting the great information that folks need to know about getting themselves covered for 2024. I'm sure we'll be talking between now and December 15th. Always appreciate the time, Mr. Huinker, and you have yourself a great day.
You as well, Darren. Take care.
Brian Huinker, Group Benefit Partners in Decorah. Health Insurance Exchange now open between now and December 15th. The residents of the Howard-Winneshiek School District will be going to the polls on November 7th, and to break down what they will be voting on is the superintendent of the Howard-Winneshiek School District, Kris Einck. And Kris, I'll ask you the general question to start out. What will district patrons be voting on November 7th?
Yeah, so they'll be going for our voted physical plant and equipment levy, or voted PEBBLE. which currently provides our district up to 67 cents per $1,000 of assessed valuation. Now, right now, the Howard-Winneshiek School District, we have it set at 57 cents. But what we want to do is actually move that up to a $1.34, or basically, Darren, have the authority to move it to reallocate funds within our overall tax formula and move that up to a $1.34. And the voters can authorize, like I said, the voted physical plant and equipment levy for a period not exceeding 10 years and in an amount not exceeding $1.34 per $1,000 of assessed valuation. So the Howard-Winneshiek School District actually last approved this or renewed it, I should say, in 2021 for 67 cents. And this is good until 2031. So what we're actually doing on November 7th is amending it. So regardless, we'll have the authority through 2031 to go to 67 cents. But like I said, what we want to do is amend it so then we could go up to $1.34.
And explain the difference, because when it comes to school funding, there's a lot of complicated factors that lay people like myself don't exactly understand.
Yeah.
But the difference between actual spending and spending authority, describe that to the lay people like myself.
Well, I think what's probably a better, even an easier way to explain it is we have different silos, okay? And within each silo or fund, we can spend those dollars on very specific things. So, for instance, at Howard-Winneshiek, our overall tax rate is $12.20 per $1,000 of assessed valuation. Now, I also want to note that the state average school district property tax rate for FY24 is $13.85, and Howard-Wins is $12.20, and that is set. So we're quite a bit under the state average, all right? So the main silo or fund of money would be your general fund, okay? About 80% of your general fund is going to go towards staff salaries, benefits, curriculum programs, textbooks, supply materials, those type of things, okay? The rest, and then, well, and I take that back. About 80% is going to go towards staff salaries. The rest of the remaining 20% would go towards, like, textbooks, supplies, materials, those type of things. That's $8.83. So out of that $12.20, $8.83 goes to the general fund. All right. Now that funding source is state aid, property tax, and a little bit of federal dollars. Okay. The next silo is your PEBBLE, physical plant and equipment levy. All right. And that's for your building and grounds improvements and repairs, buses, technology, non-instructional software leases, those type of things. That's mostly property tax, is what that funding source is. Right now, that's 57 cents. And we want the authority to move that up to $1.34. Now, the next fund would be our management fund. All right, those expenses are property and casualty insurance, workers' compensation, early retirement incentives, those type of things. That's strictly the funding source is property tax. And here's what we're going to do. What we're asking to the public for when they go out and vote is to have the authority to take money that's already being generated out of the management fund, and that's $2.80. We want to take 77 cents out of that $2.80, and we want to be able to transfer it into the PEBBLE, into the voted PEBBLE, which would then increase it to $1.34. So our general fund would stay the same, $8.83. We would increase that voted PEBBLE to $1.34. Our management fund would go down to $2.03. It's right now $2.80, but we take 77 cents, transfer that into the PEBBLE, okay? And if you add those three numbers up, that's your $12.20 tax rate. So it's really important for people to understand what we're asking for is the authority to shift money. And you want to talk about local control, there's local control right there. So we're going to shift some dollars from the management fund to the PEBBLE. Now, people ask right away, well, can your management fund handle that? Yes, Darren, it can. Our management fund is very healthy. And here's the good news. just because we have the authority to shift money from the management fund to the Pebble, doesn't mean if in 3 or 4 years we want to shift a little bit of money or dollars back into the management fund, we have the authority to do that. Okay. Now I want to continue on with our different review of funds or different silos. There's the debt service silo. That we don't have any debt service. We don't have any bond referendums we're paying off. Howard-Win last had a bond referendum. I think we paid it off in like 2012 or 2013. There's the public education recreation levy. We don't utilize that, so it's zero, okay? There's the state penny for infrastructure or your SAVE dollars. That is a sales tax, but it's really important for people to understand that's a separate tax on purchases and does not impact our school's tax rate. So there's no tax there. You have your student activities fund, but again, no tax. So the funding source is like your gate, admission, fundraising, entry fees. And then you have your food and nutrition silo or fund. Okay. And that's basically, that supports your food and nutrition program, nutrition staff salaries, benefits, food and equipment. And that's all funded basically through a majority of it through your federal funds and a little bit through parent fees for like lunch tickets. Okay. But if you add all that up, that's 1220. That's our overall tax rate. That's not going to change. We're just asking for the authority to shift money from our management fund to our Pebble, and those dollars are already being generated.
Why is it necessary to shift more funds into Pebble as compared to keeping them into the management fund?
Because in the management fund, we can't use it for what we need as far as upgrading our facilities. And I'm really glad you brought that up, because what we've done is we've highlighted or identified some needs. Now, it's not only limited to these, but these are some pretty specific and important needs. So we're looking at, number one, a new high school entry and offices to update safety and security. Also, new elementary and middle school entry and offices to update safety and security. Right now, if you enter our main entrance into our high school or our main entrance in the elementary middle school, it goes right into our cafeteria. So God forbid, something would happen and somebody would come in, an intruder, there would be all these kids there wide open. And what we want to do is we want to set that up differently. So you have to go through a set of double doors, then you have to go through the office, then you have to go through another set of double doors. So that safety and security piece is really, really important. And that is a top priority for us.
And what are some of the other identified needs that some of these and new Pebble dollars, if this measure is approved, will go towards?
We want to expand our classrooms specifically for our special education, ELL, and general classroom needs. We would like to either remodel or build a new auditorium. We've done a really nice job the last few years sticking money into our athletic facilities, and we have some really nice athletic facilities. However, it's time to start focusing on our fine arts. So the auditorium, we want to update our high school vocal instrumental classrooms. We want to remodel or actually even build a new high school art room. Our science classrooms are outdated. They're just antiquated. I mean, our high school was built in 1969 and it's been well kept over the years, but we just need to update some things. So those are some of the other areas. Our high school parking lot is another example of we're going to have to stick some money into that to redo that. It's old. It's just not in the best shape. The exterior of our elementary middle school building, believe it or not, that was built, that's coming up on 30 years that building was built. So there's just some need there as well.
And as for the effect of this measure on people's property taxes, the way you explained it earlier, it shouldn't
will not affect
anything at all, correct?
Correct. It will not affect. Now, I've had people say, well, how come our property taxes are going up? Well, that's dealing with valuations that we have no control over. But as far as our property tax rate, the school's tax rate, 1220, that's set. That's not changing, and it won't change. It doesn't need to change. And I've told people that this is a great way to utilize our dollars and not have to go out for a bond referendum in the future. And this is money that's already being generated.
And as for absentee voting, etc., when does that begin?
Yeah, if they go on our website, Darren, I have that information on there. I know the polling locations, I'm still working with the courthouse in Howard County to get that information on the website as well. But if they go to our website, they can find that.
And is this a measure that just needs the simple majority?
Yep. 50+1. Exactly.
Anything else we need to cover regarding this important vote coming up on November 7th?
No, other than if people have any specific questions, please feel free to call the school district or send me an email, reach out. We're doing a community forums. We went to Elma a couple weeks ago. Tonight, we're going to go to Chester at 6 o'clock, the community center. Next week, we'll be in Ridgeway at 6 o'clock. The following week, we'll be up in Lime Springs. And then on November 1st, we'll actually be in Cresco at the high school auditorium. And it's just going to be I'm going to kind of review what I've discussed with you and open it up to the folks that attend for questions. And we just want to be as transparent and get the facts out there as much as we possibly can. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Do you have the dates for those Ridgeway and Lime Springs ones, the specific dates?
Let me grab my calendar here because I want to make sure that I'm accurate with this.
Okay.
They are, so today is the 11th, and like I said, we are at Chester tonight at 6 o'clock. Next Wednesday is the 18th, October 18th. We're at Ridgeway Community Center at 6 o'clock. And then on Wednesday, October 25th, we'll be at the Lime Springs Community Center at 6 o'clock. And then on Wednesday, November 1st, we'll be at the Crestwood High School Auditorium at 6 o'clock.
All right, Kris, we appreciate you taking some time to inform us about what your district residents will be voting on November 7th. As always, we appreciate the time.
Thank you, Darren.
Kris Einck is the superintendent of schools at the Howard-Winneshiek School District. Pepple vote coming up on November 7th. Coming up on November 7th, the residents of the Spring Grove School District will head to the polls for a facility referendum, and Rachel Udstuen, the superintendent of schools from Spring Grove, will join us now to break down what people will be voting on. And before we get into the specifics of the referendum, Rachel, tell us how we got to this point. How long of a process was it? How did you guys decide that this was going to be what voters were going to vote on?
Sure. Well, I think it's interesting. We haven't had a big building renovation for 30 years. And our district has done one about every 20 years or every 30 years. We did one in the 20s and the 50s and the 80s. And now here we are asking, is it time again for us to look at something? And we collected data 3 different ways before we came up with our referendum question. We had experts come into our building and look in every nook and cranny, look at our HVAC systems, the roofs, the windows, everything. And they did a facility assessment. Then we did an educational adequacy assessment, which meant we asked all the people who use this space, what's working, what's not working, what needs to be changed. Took all of that data, put it together, and then put out a survey to our community, asking our community, which we talked back last March about that we asked our community, what do you value? What do you want to see done? And how much are you willing what can you afford to pay basically for our building? And so we found out we had over a third of our taxpayers respond to that survey, which is a really strong response. Found out that we really care about the infrastructure of our building, roof, HVAC, windows, and improving some of our congested areas like in the kitchen, cafeteria. And also really value the career tech ed space. We call it the CTE space, which for a lot of us is what we know as the shop or the wood shop. It's where a lot of our trades work is done. And we know that is such a huge push right now. We need to be training students for these positions, and we need to look at updating our facility. So didn't mean that our community didn't support the other areas. It's just that there's only so much money, and this is where they wanted the money to go.
And the referendum has been divided into 2 questions. Why was it divided into 2 as compared to putting everything into 1 question?
Great question. And I've been asked that in the community, so I'm glad it came up. So we decided, we learned that the response in the survey said that $24 million is too high, but 16 was kind of that point where it was like, yeah, we can support this. So we decided to be very intentional about that because we can't afford to have a referendum question fail. We need to take care of our building. So we put about 12 million on the infrastructure. We have some of our pipes are 95 years old. They've been well cared for. We've had a history of maintenance teams that have taken unbelievable care of this building. And so the fact that we have 95-year-old pipes working is pretty impressive, but we've reached the point where it's time to replace some of them. And so we wanted to make sure that we locked in that first question, taking care of our building, because it's so important. Some of our windows they're just not energy efficient. They don't close all the way, so they're letting lots of warm air out during the winter. We have some roof sections that need to be repaired. So we wanted to lock that in with that first question. Then, because our community said we want to look at the CTE, the career tech ed space, we put that on as our second question. So that the first question is really about taking care of the building that we currently have. That second question is about a $4 million addition, a career tech ed addition that would be on our back. We don't know exactly where we're envisioning. It might be in part of our black-topped playground area, not all of it. But that is a second question. So people say, well, do I have to choose between the two? No, the first question must pass in order for the second question to pass. So if the first question passes and the second question has enough votes to pass, then we do both projects. If only the first question passes, then and the second question doesn't, we still do the first part of the project, the $12 million taking care of our building. If the first question didn't pass, and the second question did pass for the career tech ed space, it still wouldn't happen because our first question must pass.
Does it need a 50% plus one to pass on both these questions? Does it need a 60% to pass? How does that work when it comes to actually getting this thing across the finish line?
50% plus one. We're hoping it's higher than that. We're hoping we've done our homework, listened to the voices in our community, and that we're putting a project in front of them that they support. But 50 plus one is what we need.
And how can residents find out how much this will actually cost them on a annual, a monthly, et cetera basis?
Sure. We've been sending out a number of flyers in the mail, putting a lot of things on social media, directing people to our website. And when you get on our website, the very first thing you see is a click here to learn more about the referendum. And when you go there, there's a referendum calculator. And so you can go right in, plug in either if you're looking at your residential impact, you plug in your home value and you find out exactly to the dollar what you'll be paying. Same thing for commercial. The one that's different is if you own ag land. And in that case, this is an interesting thing because in the past, in the 80s, we would have heard that the ag landowners, they build the schools because the tax impact lands very heavily on their shoulders. And that's not the case anymore. Now, the state of Minnesota has come up with an ag to school credit. It's a 70% tax credit on all ag property. You don't have to apply for it. It's just automatically applied to your amount, your tax impact. And so when you go to that calculator, you put in your parcel land, your parcel ID, and then because every single every parcel is specific to that individual, that information then goes to our financial advisors, Ellers, and they look it up and then they either call you or email you, whatever you say is your preference, and they'll tell you exactly what your tax impact is. And you have to put in, like if you have a number of parcel IDs, then you can put all of those in and they'll figure out exactly what that is. But it will be with a 70% ag to school tax credit. So it will be significantly lower than what you're expecting if you're expecting this to be like the 80s.
And from what I understand, there's a couple of opportunities for folks to show up and ask questions of their own here in the coming weeks. Is that correct?
That is correct. We have a couple of more community meetings. We have one tomorrow, October 10th from 5 to 6 p.m. We also have one on next week, Tuesday, October 17th from 5 to 6. The first one is here at school. The second one on the 17th is up at the cinema, at the Spring Grove Cinema. But I also say you can call or stop by anytime and we'll give you a tour of the spaces if you want to see what the building looks like, to see what we're talking about, and also just to ask questions about how will this impact me? And we can help someone with a calculator if they want help figuring out exactly what their tax impact is.
As for voting itself, let's say folks aren't going to be around on Tuesday, November 7th, how can they vote early? And if folks are going to be around on that date, where do they vote, and what are the hours the polls will be open?
Yes. So election day is November 7th. And we will be up at the Fest building that day. And the polls are open 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. But if you can't go on election day, you can come in for early voting in the school office anytime during regular hours, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. We're here. We've all been trained by the county in early voting, and it's just a simple process that you can do. And you can either come and fill out an application and take your ballot with you, or you can actually vote right here in the office.
Are we missing anything else you need to pass on to the public, as long as you got the forum this morning?
I think we hit the big ones. I wanted to be sure. I do have one.
Okay.
Something that people often ask about. We talk about that. One of our questions is addressing the heating and ventilation systems, the HVAC systems. And a frequently asked question I've been getting in this warm fall, and when people are sitting in that gymnasium during really warm volleyball games, is, does that mean air conditioning? And the answer is yes, it does mean air conditioning. We are now in a time where it's warm, not just for 3 months in the summer, but well into the fall and also in the spring. And so that is one question we want to clear up for people, that yes, it does include air conditioning.
Rachel, we appreciate you taking some time to tell us about the facility referendum you got coming up on November 7th. And again, it's important to get your voice heard. So folks can do so at the Spring Grove School office, or do so on Election Day. As always, pleasure catching up with you, Rachel, and I'm sure we'll be talking soon.
Sounds great. Thank you very much, Darren. I appreciate it.
Rachel Udstuen, the superintendent of schools in the Spring Grove School District. A facility referendum coming up on November 7th. Hey, thank you to our guests on the program this morning, Molly Holkesvik, the Minowa Players 200th show cabaret this weekend. Enjoy that and all the goodness that the Minowa Players have brought to the area and the community for all those years. That's being celebrated this weekend. 25 years of the Winneshiek County Celebration of Life being celebrated this weekend. We thank Muggs Walter for joining us on the show. Always good to catch up with Brian Huinker. He is with Group Benefit Partners in Decorah. Health Insurance Exchange now open for 2024. And a couple of re-aired interviews from some shows past, but these are important issues that will go before some area school districts later in this, actually next week, I should say. And that will be Kris Einck with the Howard-Winneshiek School District, PEPL vote coming up there, and a facility vote coming up in the Spring Grove School District next week. Rachel Udstuen joining us on that end of things. Don't forget, we put these shows on YouTube each and every week. We realize you're busy. You can't always be near a radio or a streaming device or a smart speaker or what have you at 9 o'clock on a Thursday morning, but we feel we get to talk to interesting, informative people, and we want to bring that to you on your schedule. Just look up 11-2 Our Town program. That's a great way to look it up if you're out on YouTube. Also, we put the links up on our Facebook pages as well. All of our Facebook pages in our LA Communications family of stations. Another way we connect the community. We do our best to connect us with the community here on the LA Communications end of things. So want to thank our sponsor, Decorah Bank and Trust. Want to thank our guest, and most importantly, we thank you. That's right, you, for tuning in, for logging on, or for watching Our Town on 94.9 and 99.1 The River.